Hey guys, so I'm in China, Beijing right now. We were accepted into this acceleration program that's basically about teaching us how to do business in China, how to grow in China, and then pitching to about 50 investors. Just arrived yesterday, so I'm pretty jet lagged right now, and also spent half of the day with a cameraman following me around recording videos for something that's coming up. Zoom in TV, a company from Amsterdam that gets about 1 billion views per month, reached out and said that they want to do a segment on connecting gamers and they want to follow us. So it's a really cool opportunity because this might get hundreds of thousands or even millions of views, and it'll be our first major press that we've ever had with GameTree. I can't say that I did anything that special to deserve this. I mean, besides what I think is the best way to connect gamers and working on that for a while, but the specific media, they actually found us. So really lucky for that, and they actually had a cameraman here in Beijing come and film. So we're going to use that a lot in our advertising to customers, business partners, investors, press, you name it. But this might be something that helps get the other dominoes to fall, and making it a global story from being in Poland just a couple days ago to being here now in Beijing and next week in San Francisco. And being able to mash all this footage together could be a really cool story. Other stuff that I'll be talking about is not counting chickens before they're in the coop. Basically, not counting on things until they're actually done, and also sharing just some information about the mentors that we're getting now finally from the accelerator that are being helpful. Payments, how I handle different payments to different countries, because that's been one of the biggest challenges with Ukraine. And yeah, that's about it. So and I guess I'll share some maybe information that I've learned today about China in case anybody's ever thinking about opening up shop here or is curious about the differences between business in China and other places. Quick view of what it looks like here. It's pretty nice. Yesterday was very smoggy. Today is extremely windy, so there's not as much smog. So, not counting chickens. My personality is biased to want to see the future, to plan things ahead, to sort of organize patterns. And I have a problem of when I think something's going to happen, almost considering it as of actually having already happened. For example, Hero Capital, who I've been talking to, is very interested in investing, and they said they could get us a term sheet or a letter of intention by last Friday about an investment. And I spent some of the week doing due diligence, and I think I was anticipating on that too much. So I told a couple people that even though I hadn't actually received the letter of intention yet, and now I'm talking to them Tuesday, hoping it'll be there, but I don't know why I didn't get it quite yet. Hopefully the Beijing internet firewall doesn't block those calls because it can be a little sketchy up and down. Also, Singularity Ventures is interested in investing, and they said that they would give us an angel investment in the short term, and as well as a letter of intention to invest in the round. And neither of those things happened. They just couldn't convince the last partner, who didn't want to move so quickly. But otherwise, they made it seem to me like it was already a sure thing. So I need to not trust these things so much, so that if I tell people things and it turns out to be wrong information, then it discredits the value of the things that I share. So that's something I'm trying to work on more and more. It extends to many different places in life, but this is a problem that I am having to confront, and maybe other people also can just take note for that for themselves. Payments. Moving money in and out of Ukraine has been one of the biggest challenges of GameTree. I wouldn't say like top two or three, but it's up there. I tried Payoneer and I hate it. The company is like horrible. I wrote a Quora post on it. What I found to work best actually is TransferWise. It's a service where you can convert currencies between different places very cheaply and easily. So that's good. But what's even better is actually cryptocurrencies. So the majority of the time I've actually been paying the team in Ethereum because it's almost instant. It's the cheapest way possible, and they can just export it down in their banks and then be able to have the money instantly. So I don't actually really use blockchain for much of anything that's practical, except for actually as a currency. But I'm really happy to be doing so because I think blockchain is a cool vision, and especially the idea of there being like a unified world currency. And especially I think that maybe it could be extra useful in an overdue recession that might hit, where cryptocurrencies could go up as the value and stability of individual countries goes down a lot, especially third world countries, and there's inflation and stuff. We'll see. I basically spent almost all my cryptocurrencies anyways, and Game Trade already as an investment, but games are also something that go up in recessions because we have more time, so we play more games, and they're a very cost-effective form of entertainment. Oh yeah, also been working a lot on the booth and GDC this week. I've barely actually slept. I went a few days where I was sleeping maybe like 3 to 5 hours per night, and it was just by having to be busy getting the booth together and talking to a lot of investors before coming to China. I didn't even know if I'd have internet here or not. My phone, I can't even connect to Wi-Fi, so I can't use a VPN. So I basically can't use anything like Gmail or Facebook or any of those services on my phone because it's a Pixel. It's made by Google and that's blocked here. My laptop's okay though, so I've downloaded ExpressVPN here. Um, yeah, and then what else? So yeah, I guess I'm in China now, and it's a little bit tricky. I had a scare at the airport, and this relates to a weakness I've cited before of not paying that much attention to details in the sensory world, and sort of over assuming information. And I figured that because I was leaving the country through an airport, that I could use this 7-day visa that they have, where you don't even have to actually get a visa as long as you're staying for under 7 days, but you can only enter and exit through certain airports. I figured that because Beijing is one of those airports, that would count when I was leaving the country if I was just at another airport. But last minute on the flight, they said I couldn't fly, and it was right before the plane took off. So I literally whipped out my laptop, wouldn't connect to the internet. They gave me iPad, frantically trying to book a ticket as fast as possible, and was able to just get one that I could just fly into Seattle, the first one I could find that wasn't crazy expensive. But that one cost me just unnecessary stress, but also a kind of fair chunk of change that was unavoidable. That was avoidable if I just didn't assume information it's okay if I'm exiting China through another airport as long as I don't leave an airport because that's how things work in other countries. But seeking patterns too much and not looking at individual facts is really biting me in the ass over and over again. This is a lot of why I want to go to Mongolia in the fall, because I think that just getting my ass kicked by nature is something that'll help build character and round out my personality. So maybe inspect yourselves. What are the things that are kicking your ass a lot over and over? Because if you don't hit yourself in the head with it, it's eventually either going to do something really traumatic for you, or you're going to have this really, really unnecessary long period that could last your entire life of a lot of suffering that just by going through something can build us up faster. And for me, that's my biggest problem, is there is the over-assuming information, but that's actually related to not noticing details, the real world, facts and data as much as patterns and abstract concepts. So information about China here. Overall, it's interesting. It's more capitalistic than America in that there's kind of more of a mentality of people switching jobs faster, more cutthroatness. Employees sue the companies a lot more for breaching labor laws, which is a little bit surprising considering people think of it as communist. I also thought that the social scores, that kind of government surveillance program was being used now, but actually it's not even existing in Beijing. And the cameraman who was filming me said that he doesn't even really know much about it yet, and that maybe it's just a few cities that are piloting it. Some of the articles I read made it seem like it's actually much more widespread. That said, gaming here is huge. There's a certain game that 60% of young people play. 60%, and that counts up to 40. And it integrates with WeChat, and WeChat's made by Tencent, which is, I think, the world's biggest game company now. So it's kind of creepy that Tencent has WeChat. That's I thought it was controlled by the government or something, because it's kind of the God app of China. You can get taxis, you can pay your bills, you can basically do everything with WeChat. And so I had to basically sign up here, and I couldn't even sign up without having other people endorse me into it. So I basically was stuck having to not even be able to create an account until I got here to China, and somebody local could help me be able to do this without a huge amount of difficulty. So doing business here, what are some differences? We had a talk on building companies here, and also as a foreign company hiring people here. Building companies here is actually kind of similar to America. I found that in Poland it's 10 times as many steps as in the United States, and in China it's also quite a bit simpler. Easier to open companies than to close them, like in Poland though. If there's any outstanding debts or litigation, they won't let you close a company. And hiring employees is really tricky here because you have to basically say why you're hiring them, what are the expectations, what's the term, like a trial period, because otherwise it's really hard to fire people without having very measurable kinds of reasons. It's even important to have your company goals and values stated so that if they don't fit the culture, you have something that you can point at as a reason for that. So that's one lesson. Another one in general, so far as the tech industry, I think prices here are about maybe 2/3 of America. Something that I personally prefer in general, probably just bootstrapping instincts or maybe a little bias towards people's actual talents and awards and credentials. But one of the speakers said that he likes to hire people who are just smart, competent, driven, and then they join the projects, and they tend to be really good in a team. They stay for a long time, especially compared to the average. And that's kind of what I felt like I've done with GameTree. And so that was kind of nice to hear that that's possible to do here. With WeChat and Tencent, by the way, that could be kind of tricky because having one app that controls so much of the world, it'd be easy for them to copy us or to demand to like acquire us or have some exclusive rights. And it's really tricky because we don't want necessarily to be beholden or biased in what we recommend or what games we support with our chat and networking. So I'm gonna have to have some sort of battle, I think, at some point once we're like big enough to take notice of can we actually be able to corner a market here, or do we have to have no option but basically to settle for being kind of like a component of an existing corporation. Because my vision really is to be able to have our own goals with this, to be able to use the data how we want, ethically, responsibly, giving good recommendations for everything fairly. But I don't know if that'll be possible here because of the way things are set up. So I'm really hoping with that, fingers crossed. So yeah, that's all I got for you this time. Gonna take a nap now. See you next time.